Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Experience Grad York session, Markham Grad Admission at York. Today we have Eileen Watson, our Graduate Recruitment and Liaison Officer, presenting this session. Take it away, Eileen.
Right, so thank you so much, everyone, for attending this afternoon's session. It is Markham Graduate Admission at York. Um, my role as Graduate Recruitment and Liaison Officer is to assist people with graduate admissions at York. If I don't know the answer to your question, I will find someone at York who can. So for today's session, the presentation itself takes about 25 minutes maybe, and this is what we'll cover. So we'll do a brief introduction to York University, talk about why someone might want to pursue grad studies, go over the basics and eligibility of each degree level. Then we'll specifically hone in on Markham graduate programs, move into finances, so funding, tuition, scholarships, all that good stuff. And lastly, we'll go for how to apply, when to apply, documents you'll need to submit, so on and so on. So, grad school at York. York is the third largest university in Canada. We're located in the heart of the Greater Toronto Area, just a subway ride away from downtown Toronto. Toronto, of course, being the largest and most diverse city in Canada. Almost 6 million people live in the GTA, and 50% of the population was born outside of Canada. So English and French are the official languages spoken here, but over 200 languages are spoken by residents every day, in addition to English and French. York has several campuses within the Greater Toronto Area. So first up, our main campus, which is the Keele campus, is located in North Toronto. It's got the majority of our students, so about 50,000 students overall. About 10% of those, or about 5,000, are graduate students. Then Glendon is our founding campus, our bilingual campus, and it's much, much smaller than Keele, so only about 2,000 students overall, about 10%, 5 to 10% are graduate students. And then lastly, last year in 2024, we officially opened our Markham campus just north of the city of Toronto. We're currently offering 5 graduate credentials, and there are about 400 students at the Markham campus. But overall at York, across faculties, programs, campuses, there's just over 80 graduate programs, over 100 degrees and diplomas available within those programs, and over 6,000 graduate scholars and postdoctoral fellows. So all about Markham. It embeds York in one of the most diverse and dynamic communities in Ontario and in Canada. The academic offerings are meant to reflect the local economy, and there's some core themes that the campus programs reflect. So technology and entrepreneurship mainly, and you'll see those in our program offerings at the graduate level. Ultimately, we'll grow to accommodate 4,200 students. Right now, we're in the building stages, but ultimately, you will be able to see a thriving campus. If you've had a chance to visit it before, you can see it looks extremely similar to this rendering. A beautiful gold sparkly site on the side of the road in Markham, right next to the Pan Am Center. So why might someone want to go to graduate school? So 3 main reasons, professional growth, personal development, and academic excellence. So in terms of professional growth, a grad degree opens doors to higher employment rates, higher salaries, developing in-demand skills. For personal development, it's about learning, growing, and developing those lifelong connections. And then for academic excellence, it's, contributing to advancing knowledge, creating knowledge, and collaborating with the best and brightest in your academic field of study. So for the basics and eligibility of each degree level, first up, we have master's degrees. So a master's is the first degree level available of graduate studies, available after you complete your bachelor's, Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Commerce, etc. Usually masters are 1 to 2 years in length, depending on the program that's preset, it's not chosen by the student. And traditionally, a master's will come in one of three formats. So coursework only, major research project, or thesis-based. So for a coursework only degree, you're entering the program and you're doing a set number of courses, usually 8 to 10. And once you finish those courses, that's it. You're done. You can graduate. Major research project programs, you still take courses, so usually only about 6, and then do a small research project in addition to your coursework. Then lastly, there are thesis-based programs, which are 4 courses, and usually that's total across the whole degree. And you would do a large research project in addition to those couple of courses. So there are definitely programs that offer outside of that traditional structure. For example, biotechnology management at Markham does a year of courses and a year internship. But those are the traditional formats. To be eligible to do a master's degree at York, you need to have your 4-year honors undergraduate program. So it doesn't need to have been, you don't need to take 4 years to do it, but needs to be that honors 120 credits if you're a York undergrad, but that honors undergraduate degree. And in that degree, we're looking at your GPA or your grade point average from your last 2 full-time years of study or the equivalent. We look for a B plus in those last 2 years, and the B plus on different grading scales is 77 out of 100, 7 on the 9-point scale, 3.3 out of 4, second class upper division, 4 out of 5, 15 or 16 out of 20, so on and so on. So grad admission at York is competitive. There's always more applications than there are spots in the program. So there's certainly no guarantee of admission. Next up, we have PhDs, and I'll go through this really quickly. There are no PhDs available at Markham right now, but you could potentially take one of the programs and then continue on into a different PhD at another campus or another school if you so choose. So a PhD or doctoral degree, the terms are interchangeable, is an advanced research degree, the highest one that the university awards. Usually it's 4 or 5 years full time, but could be 6 or more, depends on how long your research takes. Usually a student will enter the program, take courses in their first, maybe second year, write a qualifying or comprehensive exam, and then years and years of research. So truly the amount of time it takes to do the degree is the amount of time it takes to do your research project. To be eligible for a PhD at York, you need to have a master's, and we look for your master's grades. We need a B plus GPA or above for PhD admission. Then lastly, there's a lesser known credential, but Markham actually has 2 of them. So graduate diplomas. So a grad diploma is a handful of courses in a certain area where either we don't have a full degree or we do, but there was demand for a credential where it was like get in, learn XYZ, and then get right into the workforce. So um, they are usually shorter than a master's, maybe half the time, 8 to 12 months. Entry requirements are the same as they would be for a master's, so they're not meant for upgrading purposes, but it is a quick 8 months through, study full time, and then get directly into the workforce and put that knowledge into action. There's 2 kinds of diplomas, standalone and concurrent. So for standalone, it is you can apply directly to the program, complete the coursework, and then graduate right away. Concurrent, you You can only take these if you are enrolled in a primary degree program at York. So in addition to that primary program. The two that are available at Markham are standalone, so you can apply right to them and no, it's not concurrent. Okay, so the programs available at Markham, there's the two graduate diplomas, one in biotechnology, one in management. Both are 8 months straight through. Then there's the master's in biotechnology management, the Master of Science and Management Practice, and then the Master of Public Policy, Administration, and Law. Now, the main program for that is offered at the Kiel campus. The one offered at Markham campus is with the specialization in um, municipal affairs. So keep that in mind. Okay, so now we'll move into finances, tuition, funding, and then scholarships and awards. So we'll do a domestic table and then an international table. For tuition, you have different tuition if you are a in-province student or out of province. So whether you're an Ontario resident or a resident of a different province or territory. Excuse me, for the diplomas, the tuition is for 2 terms because they are 8-month programs and then done. They're not funded, so there's no funding package associated with those, and that's the same for every diploma at York. The Master's in Biotechnology Management, it's around 20,000 per year. Keep in mind that grad school goes year-round, fall, winter, and summer. So you're paying that tuition 3 times or split into 3. There's no funding for biotechnology management. It's a professional program, and that is very common for professional programs. Then we've got the Master of Science and Management Practice. Tuition is about 5,000 for the year for both in-province and out-of-province students. And all domestic students are eligible for a funding package of $10,000, which helps cover your tuition with leftover money to go towards living expenses. For public policy administration and law, the students are taking it part-time. So while the above tuition is full-time, I've put part-time tuition for this program. It's not funded because it's a professional program, number one, and number two, there's no funding for part-time study. So I'll just leave this up here. We're also going to put some links in the chat to tuition, and you can we're right now showing the numbers for what the current year of study, so fall 2025 and winter 2026. So it may change a little bit by fall 2026, but it was only a few dollars difference from last year. So next up, we'll go to international. So for international tuition, I've shared each program, both biotechnology and management per year. The Master's in Biotechnology Management, you can see Master of Management Practice. All 4 of those programs, that is the full-time international tuition per year. I've put Master of Public Policy Administration and Law. The part-time tuition, it is very unusual for an international student to be studying part-time, usually just the conditions of study permits and visas, but it is technically possible. So I have left that information there. Normally, if an international student wanted to pursue this program, they would usually do the full-time, same program, but full-time at the Kiel campus. So if you are an international student interested in MPAL, I would highly recommend their program information session if you're able to attend. Okay, so for scholarships, mostly these are for degree programs. So the biotechnology, management practice, and public policy administration and law. And there's 3 kinds of awards. So current student, government, federal and provincial, and then external scholarships. So current student awards, you can apply once you are a student at York, and they're usually worth between $500 and $5,000, depending on the award. Government awards, they can be quite large, so $10, $15, $20, $40,000. They are prestigious. They require a comprehensive application, and the deadlines are quite early. We'll put some info in the chat about those, and you can have a look and see if you're qualified, if you are willing and able to put forward an application. So that's completely at your discretion. Then other external scholarships are not through the government, not through York, but you would usually apply directly to the foundation, the corporation, or the agency that you are that adjudicate the award. So these can be quite large as well, in multi-thousand, multi-10,000 dollar amount. But your responsibility to have a look and see, does this apply to me? And is it worth me making an application to this? Then as well, there is needs-based financial assistance available. For York financial assistance, usually it is no more than $1,000 a year. You can apply for this once you're a student, and you would need to demonstrate financial need. Then if you are a resident of Ontario, who is a Canadian citizen or permanent resident, for the degree programs, you're eligible to apply for OSAP, so the Ontario Student Assistance Program, which is a government program made up of grants and loans that you can use to pursue graduate studies. So if you got a funding package, you can still apply for scholarships and financial assistance and OSAP if you wish. And if you didn't get a funding package, because most programs at York aren't funded, you can probably apply for scholarships and may be able to apply for the financial assistance and OSAP. For how to apply, applications are open for fall 2026 or September 2026. The programs at Markham only offer September entry every year. We're going to go over what the deadlines are, the documents you'll need to submit on the next slides coming up, so don't worry about that. But the application itself, you're welcome to have a look through and see what is asked of you on the application, what you need to fill out. The application itself is in two parts. So part one is the basic online form. You fill it out. It usually takes no more than 20 minutes. You fill it out, you make your payment, and then you receive a confirmation email from us within a few days that you get instructions on what documents to submit and where to submit them. But there's always a couple days in between, so just make sure that you are applying in advance of the deadline and giving yourself lots of time to, get everything squared away, documents submitted, so on and so on. Okay, so we'll go program by program for what the documents are, but definitely pay close attention to this first one because I'm going to go heavily into detail on each of these requirements. All grad programs at Markham are going to ask for all of these things. So yes, we're starting off with the grad diploma in biotechnology, but it's applicable to any program. So the deadline is March 15th. However, the program does rolling admissions, meaning the sooner you apply, the sooner you can get a response. So applications are open now for fall 2026, September 2026. So you could apply and get all your documents in today and maybe get a decision in, early January. So the documents that you'll need to submit for this program, from the top, transcripts. So we need to see transcripts from every university you have ever studied at. It doesn't matter if you were a transfer student, if you did an exchange, if you have multiple degrees, if you studied 50 years ago, if you studied in a different country, if you studied a topic that you don't feel is applicable to the one you want to study at York, it doesn't matter. We need a copy of every single individual institutional transcript. Usually you don't need to submit an official transcript unless or until you're accepted. I mean, we always reserve the right, but usually a copy is fine. References. So this program, it's 2, others it's 3. It depends on the program. We don't accept pre-written reference letters. We want you to submit the name and the email addresses of your referees. Then we send them a form to fill out about you. You'll probably see some different language in different places that are referees, references, recommenders. Those are all referring to the same thing. So keep that in mind. References can be academic or professional. So academic being someone who supervised you, are you doing research, or someone who's taught you in a classroom, an instructor, professor, etc. And then professional references, someone who has supervised you at a work or volunteer position. The statement of interest, so it's kind of like an academic cover letter, 1 to 2 pages double spaced, and it's you making a case for why you would be a good candidate for the program, talking about what you'd like to do, research, learn within the program, and then where you're hoping to go after you graduate. So we're going to be sharing at the end a YouTube link in the chat, and you can find there is a how to write a statement of interest video on there that is highly, highly useful. So I would recommend checking that out. Next up, you'll need to submit a resume or CV. No particular format, just a document that showcases your education, work, volunteer, and research experience. Then the supplementary information form or supplementary application form, used interchangeably. It's a 1-page document with a couple questions. It's standard across every graduate program, so very, very basic info. And then lastly, if you went to school outside of Canada, you may need to submit an English language proficiency test. So IELTS, TOEFL, Duolingo, that kind of thing. If you have questions about the language requirement, we can certainly chat about that during the Q&A at the end. Next up, the grad diploma in management, very, very similar to the grad diploma in biotechnology in that, the deadline. They have a different deadline for domestic and international. So domestic students, Canadian citizens or permanent residents do have until May 15th to apply, but the earlier, the better. The international deadline, March 15th. But same as every other Markham program, applications are open now. So documents we'll need to see, transcripts, again, from all university studies, 1 per institution. No references required, but a statement of interest is. Resume or CV. The standard supplementary information form or the SIF, and then the English language proficiency test results, if applicable, if you studied outside of Canada at any point. Okay, so for biotechnology management, similar to the diploma, admissions are done on a rolling basis. So the earlier you apply and finish your documentation, the earliest or the earlier you can get a decision. The program wants to see transcripts from all university studies. Name and email address of 2 references. So some programs have 3, but biotechnology management only needs 2. Statement of interest, resume or CV. Format, again, really doesn't matter. The standard supplementary information form, and then again, the English language proficiency test results, if applicable. Okay, management practice, their domestic deadline is later as well with May 15th, whereas the international deadline is earlier in February. Very similar to biotechnology management, they're looking to see transcripts from all university studies. Name and email address of 2 references, referees. Statement of interest. Resume or CV. The standard supplementary information form. And then the English language proficiency test results, if applicable. And last but not least, we have public policy administration and law, the municipal stream. They're wanting to see transcripts from all university studies. Name and email address of 3 references. The statement of interest. Resume or CV. Now, where this program requirement differs is the sample of written work. So they want to see, oftentimes it's a paper that you would have written in a 3rd or 4th year seminar for your undergrad. However, there's a lot of people coming into this program who have been in the workforce for quite a while. You can use a work report or a kind of policy document maybe that you wrote at work as an example for this. It would just need to be something like, do you have permission to share from the workplace? Is it single author? That kind of thing. So yeah, a sample of written work is to really see your research and writing skills. That's the purpose of it. And it can look a little bit different for this program than it does for others, just because the nature of what you're studying and the work you may or may not be doing. So. In addition to that, the supplementary information or supplementary application form, and then the English language proficiency test results, if applicable. Okay, so that's the end of the formal presentation. We do have our social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So we'll put all the links in the chat, and we'd love it if you would follow, like, subscribe. We share lots of relevant York info. This is the last slide here. I'll leave our grad admissions contact up, and now we will go into the Q&A.